everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Violence and polls in the state of West Bengal go hand in hand. Arson, unrest, violent clashes and chaos are not clandestine in Bengal's political landscape. In and out of election season, especially, the state simmers with continuous clashes. This has become the norm, persisting for several decades. And same scenes have played out during current Panchayat poll campaign as well, where the state witnessed violence and clashes resulting in the loss of at least 17 lives. Now, since 1977, only the left and the TMC have ruled the state of West Bengal, and both have failed to curb this violence during polls in the state. Today, Bengal Governor Mr. Bose came down very heavily on the State Election Commission and its chief, pinning the blame for the deaths at the latter's door. A question does arise: why does West Bengal experience such rampant violence? Why do governments struggle to control or eradicate this persistent violence? And did the state, for this year, fail to curb this time? We'll be taking those questions to our guests in just a bit. First up, take a look at what the Bengal governor has said today. He has hit out in the strongest of ways. He said state poll panel chief Rajiv failed in discharging his duties. Went on to say, ensure the protection of people's life during polls. Why is there gruesome violence under your rule? He asked. He went on to say, police, magistrate and state machinery is under your control. You, he said, talking about the SEC, which is the State Election Commissioner, are responsible for the corpses on the streets of Bengal. And he went on to also say, Bengal expects you to do your duty. Now, this is because just yesterday, a 17-year-old boy was killed in a crude bomb explosion in North 24 Parganas. Before that, a TMC worker was also killed in the same district due to a crude bomb explosion, the one that the worker himself was making. Last month in June, a 26-year-old was killed and 3 others were injured in another explosion in Murshidabad. And on June 14, 1 worker each from TMC and ISF were killed, while 5 others suffered gunshot wounds. And I'm not really even going before that. There have been countless other cases of violence and even seizures of explosive material. So 2 days ago, a cache of firearms and ammunition were recovered from North Dinajpur. On June 28, explosive materials, firearms, ammunition were seized from an illegal godown. Before that, bomb-making material was recovered in 24 Parganas, Bhangar. All of this is just between now and June, not even mentioning cases that go back to May. So the big debate and the big question we're asking today is this: did the state government, did the State Election Commission fail to curb the violence in West Bengal? And if so, what is to be done about this? We'll take that with our guests in just a bit.
My constitutional appointee, you have failed, in my opinion, in your duty. You have failed the people. You are responsible for the corpses that fell on the streets.
A man of such wisdom, a man of such sheer understanding of democratic values and constitution is needed more at this time in the double-engine government of Manipur, not in Bengal.
উনি বিজেপি দালালি করে আর বিরোধীদের হয়ে প্রচার করে উনি প্রমাণ করে দিলেন যে উনি রাজনীতিই করছেন। রাজ্যপালের তো কাজ আছে, রাজ্যপালের কাজ প্রেস কনফারেন্স করে রাজনীতির বক্তৃতা দেওয়া নয়।
Let's go across to the guests joining us. Priyanka Tibrewal is joining us from the BJP. Mohammad Tausif Rahman is from the TMC. Shikha Mukherjee is senior journalist, someone who tracks Bengal politics closely, and so is Pratim Ranjan Bose, political analyst. Let me go across to Tausif first up. Tausif, the Supreme Court has been pretty critical of the SEC raising concerns or issues over the central forces. They had to be reminded that no matter where the forces come from, the job is of the SEC to cooperate and ensure that there is violence-free polling, of course, and of course campaigning as well. There have been instances where the High Court has pulled you up in the past because of violence in the state. And now even the governor raising very strong objections. Your response first up.
Well, absolutely. You know, no one is above the law. And whatever happening in Bengal, unfortunately, it's very condemnable and it's heart-wrenching. A 17-year-old boy losing his life, and it's been 15 deaths so far. And it's unfortunate whatsoever is happening. I mean, whether you belong from a TMC cadre family, BJP family, Congress family, ASF family, end of the day, they all belong to some family, and it's very heart-wrenching. And at the same time, ma'am, you have to understand that Panchayat election is a very personal kind of election, and there are some personal issues and personal agenda as well.
Like?
But again, not backing out from anyone, the law and order is under us. We have to contain, sustain, and we have to see everything.
No, I don't
But
understand.
again,
Why are
who
Panchayat
are these
elections
people behind
different
the
from
scene?
other elections?
No, of course. It is not about different from other election, and
Yes.
I'm not giving you any rebuttal about how many people died or they should die because it's a Panchayat election. The problem is who is behind the scene. We want to know that as well. And if I share you the one interview of Dilip Ghosh ji, he said, you know, I know everything. The goons are coming from Bangladesh. They're carrying arms and ammunition. They're carrying AK-47. They're carrying bombs. Now, my question is very simple, ma'am. Like, if the goons are coming from Bangladesh under BSF, how come BSF is allowing them? Because BSF is under central agencies, under central government. So if the opposition leader, Dilip Ghosh, is confirmed about people coming from Bangladesh, how is this happening? And
Okay,
it's very
I'll
strange.
come to that issue in just a bit. I'll raise your concern with Priyanka Tibrewal. But isn't it obvious that as far as this state machinery is concerned, now you will claim you are better off than the left in the past, but is it not also a matter of shame that even till today in 2023, there is no other state in India that witnesses this kind of violence, so many bombs going off, so many bombs being made? Bengal is turning into a crude bomb factory of its own, right? It happens nowhere else. Tasif, let me finish my question. It happens nowhere else. Now, the TMC has been in power for long enough. It's not like it's just come into power. It's been in power for long enough. Will questions naturally not be asked of you and your political machinery?
It's very easy to say, ma'am, that, you know, Bengal is becoming the hub of bombs and arms and machineries are being taken out, and West Bengal government is not being capable to handle a small panchayat election. But let me tell you, ma'am, we are ruling. This is the third term, and people entrust us. You know, people have faith. This is the reason why we are there and why people are voting for us. And at the same time, when I am going for campaigning, personally, I'm telling you, my experience, the people of Bengal have questions. Like, I know these people are from BJP who's staying next to my door, but they behave very well for 1.5 years, 2 years. But when the election comes, why do they turn their eyes and harass the commoners?
The question that will be asked is the state machinery and law and order is in the TMC's control.
State machinery is there. State machinery is there. The governor has to be neutral. I don't know whether the government is neutral.
How can the governor be neutral? How can you be neutral when violence is happening?
So you won't be neutral.
Is there a ploy placed? No, but is this a question of being neutral? Is there any neutrality here? The governor is asking questions of the State Election Commission and the state government, the state machinery, which is currently under the State Election Commission.
Of course you can ask. But if you do a conspiracy against the state government, against the people of Bengal.
Which conspiracy?
BJP is doing a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy against the people of Bengal.
Who is doing this conspiracy against you?
To harass them, to harass the commoners, to get vote. But this is the irony of life.
No, but who is doing this conspiracy against you? Why are you so incapable of handling this conspiracy?
We are not capable. No, it's not about that, ma'am. We are very much capable. Because this is the third term we are running the government. Very silently, peaceful in everything. But if you want to malign the image of the people and the malign image of the Bengal.
Who wants to malign the image of Bengal?
I mean, it's very tough.
Who wants to malign the image of Bengal?
If you want to stand with ISF, if you want to stand with Left Front, and if you
ISF
want to
was your ally partner only. Wasn't ISF your ally?
No, not my allies. BJP allies. You should ask BJP.
No, but I don't understand. What is this? One second. What is this victim mentality you're displaying here? That actually this is against you.
No, so if you... No, you're not the court. So you cannot charge me because I have to answer you. So I'm answering you.
No,
So you
my
cannot tell me
question
that
to
I am
you
a
is
victim
what the governor is asking
or
you.
whatever it is. I have to answer, and I'm giving you a
So
genuine
I'm
answer.
just wanting to
Because I
understand.
have to
You
give
are
the
saying
answer
that
which is
people are.
coming from the
One
people.
second, Tasif. I don't want to speak over you. I'll give you enough time. You said that if you want to malign the image of Bengal, who are you charging at? Who are you
BJP.
accusing of maligning the image of Bengal?
BJP, Amit Shah, Narendra Modi, Suvendu Adhikari, Dilip Ghosh. These are the people who wants to create right. They want to make this like Manipur. But just because Manipur is neglected, because there is no election over there, so the whole focus in Bengal.
I'm not understanding
So you
how
should ask
in
your
any
viewers
state, if this
that
was
why
happening in
the
Uttar
main
Pradesh,
focus
for
is not in
example,
Manipur.
if this is currently, there are ethnic clashes happening in Manipur, for example, nobody blames the opposition for that. You cannot blame opposition for what is a state law and order subject.
Of
So I'm
course
not
we
quite
will.
understanding. And also, please, nobody has anything against West Bengal. At least let me assure you as far as this show is concerned. But let Priyanka Tibrewal come in. Priyanka, this is a repeat charge against you. Ever since you started growing as an opposition in West Bengal, the TMC believes that you like to humiliate them and embarrass them by adding to the violence culture in West Bengal.
See, if anyone is trying to humiliate or embarrass you, can they do it? If there are no murders which have taken place in West Bengal for this Panchayat elections, can anyone just come on media and say that there have been 16 killings just for one Panchayat election in West Bengal? Can my friend say that no, these killings are not there during these Panchayat elections? No. He cannot refuse because it is on record. Now, see, they are taking pride for that. For the third time they are in government, people have elected them, but they fail to protect and save the lives of people of Bengal. That is why people are being killed. Now, I'm not saying that who is killed from BJP or who is killed from some other party. There are many who are killed from TMC as well. Although we know
Yes.
the fact that TMC is killing TMC. Now, my pertinent question is that they are the government here. The chief minister is the police minister here. Can she not find out that who are these people who are killing the others? So she is failing. The law and order situation is zero, nil, absolutely. Lawlessness, police administration crumbled. They are the facilitator of any kind of violence which is happening in West Bengal. Now, my friend was also saying about, the weapons and bombs coming from Bangladesh, which he says that Mr. Dilip Ghosh has said. Now, so what are you trying to say, Tausif, that these are not made in Bangladesh, but these are made in Bengal? Either way, you have to answer. You have to answer that even if these are made in Bangladesh, how are they being used in West Bengal? Why your government is failing to stop them? See, bombs are being hurled in Murshidabad, you have seen. In Canning, you have seen. In Bhangar, you have seen. Everything is on the media.
Priyanka ji, I don't want to interrupt you.
Tausif, I did not interfere. Wait, let me finish.
Exactly,
Let me finish.
Okay, sure.
Let me finish. See, it was all there on the media. So you cannot refuse that, these pictures are there to defame us. How can someone hurl bombs where you have police present on the ground? In front of the police, this is being done. So who is responsible? Who is answerable? Who should be questioned? It is your police people, your administration, your state government, your police minister, who's the chief minister, will be questioned.
Yes, Tausif, respond very quickly before I go to others.
No, definitely. Thank you, Priyanka ji. I'm sorry I interrupted you. But again, yes, the question is when I told you that I never said the arms are coming from Bangladesh, the arms are being made in Bengal, but Dilip Ghosh, he is the leader of opposition in West Bengal from BJP. He claimed and he was very much sure that everything is coming from Bangladesh. But how come it is coming from the border when the BSF is with you? The BSF is with the central agencies.
Again,
the BSF is under central government. So who is allowing these people?
Statement I made.
How come
My
it is
statement
happening,
is
ma'am?
so very much clear.
Priyanka
Why
ji.
these weapons and arms are being used in West Bengal? Why?
Priyanka ji, it's not
in
about
any other
using.
state.
So who
See,
are these
TMC
people
has
who
the
are
habit
using?
of going to
Even
Uttar
we
Pradesh,
want to figure it out.
Meghalaya, Manipur, but
Even
they will
we
not
want
talk
to
about
figure it
Bengal.
out. This is the
People of
problem.
Bengal are dying, Tausif, right? You were talking about your neighbors.
No.
You are talking
Priyanka
about
ji,
your
I
neighbors,
remember when-
but
I
you
remember
don't
two
care for
movies.
the life of people who are dying.
No, but can I just
Priyanka ji,
come in?
Be
One second.
practical.
Both of you, 1 second. Let me take some comments from Pratim Ranjan and Shikha Mukherjee as well. But I do have a question for the TMC representative. Today you're saying, yes, it is wrong if even one life is lost, right? Tasneem, I got that
Of
correct?
course.
It's unfortunate
Of course.
if 17
Of
lives
course.
have been lost so far, including
course.
young, men. Even a child was hurt. But
Yes, of course.
at the same time, your senior leaders come out and say when the governor raises questions on the state machinery and the SEC, then he's being an agent of the BJP. Now, is that an appropriate response?
Yes, of course. I'm not going to change the statement. The governor is not neutral at all, or he has been neutralized from somewhere. He has to see both the ends from two eyes. He has shut his one eye and he's attacking.
What is the
TMC
other side of this violence?
So of course he is not
He is
there. The
discharging
behest
his
of
constitutional
anything.
duties.
बीजेपी, I mean, कौन कान भर रहा है? ये किसके साथ वो है? समझ
नहीं,
में नहीं आ
कान
रहा है
भरने वाली बात
So, of
कहाँ से
course-
आई? One second. Can I
Of
just come in?
course.
No, one second.
Of
One
course,
second. Let
we
me
are-
deal
we
with
are
this.
not with the governor's
One second,
statement at
Tawseef.
all.
Let me deal with this. Why is this being presented as some sort of campaign against West Bengal? The deaths
It
have
is.
happened. The blasts
It
have
is.
happened. The crude bombs have been found. If this was any other state, they would get even more coverage, I tell you. It's just that this has been normalized in Bengal for so long, it doesn't shock people anymore. But why are you presenting
think-
it as
you think
people
it
are
has not
making
been
up
covered?
facts?
No, no.
Will
You
the
think
government
it
not
has not been
question
covered?
if 17
You
people
think
are
it is
killed
not
for an
being covered?
election?
It's we are having 7 debates on Bengal violence rather than Manipur. So of course.
No,
it has
Manipur is
been
also
stated.
being debated.
And you
But
know
why
what?
should we not talk about 17 deaths in
Again, you are trying
Bengal?
to cover.
Okay.
I tell you.
Let me know
I
once
want
again.
to
Let
give
me
you
go
answer.
across to some of our other guests as well. Shikha Mukherjee, in 2018, the last time around, the death toll was 30. In that case, 12 people had died on the day of the election itself. So if I minus that, it was 18 before the polls itself. We are yet to see the polls itself, and I keep my fingers crossed that there will be no violence on the polling day itself. It doesn't look like this culture is being abated. Why do you think that is the case?
Sorry, something happened. I couldn't hear the question.
I'm saying this
Can you
culture of
repeat
violence during any and all kinds of elections in West Bengal is not abating. Why do you think that is the case? The death toll is still pretty high.
that? Well, yes, the death toll is high. It is unfortunate. And this is exactly how violence is perpetuated. And for 40 years, I've been seeing this happening at the time of the elections. Whenever whenever there are emerging challengers to the ruling party, or there is some degree of volatility about who is going to dominate the political turf, violence escalates. And let me tell you that the 30 number that you're quoting is one of the elections where the death numbers were lower. It has gone up over 100. It has been almost 80 in the past.
Yes.
And therefore, let us be very clear. All political parties indulge in violence in West Bengal. There is no political party that I know of in the 40 years that I have done reporting that does not engage in violence, that does not have squads of people who hunt around and do their bit of violence. People amass bombs, they amass weapons, they have ways of killing people, they intimidate, and every political party does it. There is no political party who is sort of following Gandhiji's line and saying, I'm for non-violence. Not one political party. Everybody is tarred with the same brush. And therefore, this culture of violence in politics in West Bengal, however I may deplore it, however you may question it, however the governor may question the state election commissioner and find him at fault on a day, on 2 days before an election, this is deplorable. The governor should not have done it. The man has to still conduct the election. He's not going to be replaced. This is, you put a man there, you have given him a certain responsibility, you find that he is failing in his responsibility. Does it mean that you expose him on the day instead of doing it with some degree of protecting his capability of dealing with the situation? I find the governor's action completely baffling.
Okay, let me take that to Pratim Ranjan Bose as well.
You've been discussing this,
Yes.
and therefore I'm reacting to it, as it were.
Okay, Pratim Ranjan Bose,
If
on both of these
political
issues,
parties
on
are
the issue
determined
of the
to
governor's
engage
statements
in
today,
violence,
because
I
certainly
absolutely cannot understand how anybody is going to stop this. The most important part of it is the High Court has intervened. The High Court says central forces.
Yes.
Fair enough, we had central forces in the past. The problem is that the central forces are not here. They haven't yet been deployed fully.
Okay.
The High Court said 830 odd. And where are the 830 odd companies?
But the SEC did, challenge that
And
as
will
well.
the
They
30
went to the Supreme
830
Court,
odd companies
and the
be
Supreme Court had to
adequate
tell them that
deal with
whether
the
they come from
situation?
central forces or otherwise, you just have to accept them. But Pratim Ranjan Bose, respond to both of those things. One, the governor's statements today, you could say from someone in a governor's position were uncharacteristically very strong and very stringent. So your take on what the governor said, should he have done so or not? And secondly, if there is a culture of violence in a state, does the onus not go more on the party and the workers in power? Because the opposition in the state, both Congress, BJP, everybody says that our people are getting killed. So if there is there's a political culture, but there is a party in power, and obviously the machinery is working in a way that where violence is allowed, it will be an unlevel playing field because one party is in power, the other are opposition. I'm just saying this because last Panchayat elections, for example, majority of this, most of the seats were also uncontested. Why does that happen? That happens because there is one section that is enjoying that power greatly or more greatly than others. And maybe others are responding. But respond to both of these things.
Right. So the first thing first, in fact, you have rightly said that the nature of violence, understanding West Bengal is pretty difficult for an outsider. Part of the reason is that you look at violence in terms of numbers, but West Bengal is not that. Let me start with first, we all know what West Bengal is. But before that, let me start with what happened after the results were out in 2018 election. You are very right. In the election, couple of districts, one Birbhum district, altogether there was no opposition. Everyone of TMC was elected before the polls. Okay, so one can understand the level of atrocity, dominance, and fear factor. This cannot happen. This is beyond any mathematics. That even though there is no contestant in any poll, whomsoever of us have participated in some kind of poll somewhere in clubs, in colleges, wherever, we know that this cannot just happen. That everyone in a district will elect someone of one single party unanimously. Second is so the violence is told and untold in West Bengal.
Right.
Here, what we are seeing is the violence in 6 districts. It means in these 6 districts, there was some kind of resistance. In the rest of the districts, it was I must say that most probably and largely, it had been a huge domination. And this domination is not a one-day domination. It happens every day.
So basically, let me just say, what you're saying is that actually when violence is occurring in West Bengal, it is because the opposition is also fighting it back, fighting the domination back.
It has to. What Shikhadi has said, that everyone has to take part in politics, means that it is the whole culture is that if you have to throw the ruler out, then you have to resort to violence.
Right.
Because
that's what I was also hinting at. The onus lies greatly on the party that is in power.
Let us put it in unequivocal terms. The ruler is violent.
Ma'am, I'll come to you. Yeah. But on the issue of the governor's statements,
I'm not picking up.
Pratim Ranjan Bose, on the issue of the governor's statements very quickly,
back to the governor?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, for last 10, 15 days, whatever discussion has been happening from court to governor, everything is involving the State Election Commission. And it's the way it should organize the election. That had been no one was blaming West Bengal government. State Election Commission is a constitutional body. So it was doing, whether it is doing its purpose or not, the court is very right to intervene. And the governor has said against the State Election Commission, not against the government, not against the state police.
Right.
The question therefore arises, why Trinamool Congress had been so vocal against the governor? In fact, today, I'm not naming because they erased that part. In some TV channel, one ruling party spokesperson said that the court even blamed the court. Now the court is good when they gave you Singurvati. Court is bad when they are
I get your point.
And,
you know, I think maybe
intervening for what?
the issue is that the governor also raised the issue that why did the state election commissioner, for example, not even have time to meet him? Remember, the governor had asked to meet him and the state election commissioner did not turn up. Now that obviously will raise eyebrows of what is really going on.
The commissioner had taken charge just before the day before announcing the polls. The way the state kept on resisting. The state could have said if nothing, it wouldn't have gone to court. The state could have, because there was a precedence in 2013 polls by Meera Pandey when he sought central forces.
Yeah.
So there was an administrative precedence.
Yeah, there are two issues. Both issues important. One, the state election commissioner did not respond to the governor's call. The second is the state election commission went to the court opposing central forces. That exposes your hand, some would say. I have 5 minutes left. Tausi, very quickly, then I'll give Priyanka Tibrewal 30 seconds as well.
I'll just finish in 30 seconds. You know, I remember the movie Ghulam-e-Mustafa and Kranti, where how they used to program and stage the riots and violence in the state. Well, the question is why we oppose central force, because you asking again that, you know, it was a counter-attack. The misusing of central agency is something which can be seen overall. 2008, 2013, many people died and BSF was standing like a puppet because they have assigned to do so. Independent candidates are backed by BJP and CPM. BJP leaders like Suvendu Adhikari and Loket Chatterjee forcefully entering BDO office and state election commission, and they wanted to create a ruckus over there as well.
Mohammed Tasif, you know, it is a problem when you blame everyone but the government in power and the state election commission in charge of conducting elections.
Shivani.
Yes, Priyanka Tibrewal, 30 seconds, please. 30 seconds.
See,
Priyanka, I'm out of time. Priyanka, 30 seconds.
The governor is being criticized for discharging his constitutional duties. 17 people murdered and killed. But Abhishek Banerjee in his conference did not for a single time mention the same. Why? That is the question. Secondly, I disagree with what Shikhaji just said, that all parties are involved in violence. No, BJP is not involved in violence, because if a single person would have been involved, this TMC government would have arrested him immediately. But again, the question remains, why the government is silent on these 17 murders?
What about the issue that she raised on the central forces? Priyanka, what about the issue on the central forces? Two questions arise. One, if the central forces were so critical, why is violence still happening? Shikha Mukherjee on the ground is saying the central forces are actually not there in the full force, as was mandated.
The deployment of central forces, the police personnel here, the police authorities are not deploying them. So that is the reason that the court had to intervene today. And the court has passed an order where the deployment is not left to the West Bengal police, and it will be done.
Now that's the lie we are talking about.
That the police, West Bengal,
coming in front of your viewers.
We see that the... Tausi, please. Every time we see that the West Bengal police...
No, one by one, please. One by one. I'm running out of time. Priyanka, please finish.
They do not utilize the central forces.
You want your people...
They do not utilize the central forces.
If you're scared,
they just
you want your
give
people
them a
to die.
peaceful march on the
So if you
street.
don't want your
They
people
do
to
not
die,
allow them to stand
this is
outside
what
the
you're
police
saying.
station.
No,
That
if the
is
central
why
forces have been deployed and they have been mandated by the Supreme Court, then the question will also arise, what is the difference that is making on ground? But I've run out of time. I do thank all of you for joining us. Remember, we've not seen the polling happen just yet, and we keep our fingers crossed that it will be peaceful, by and large, as far as West Bengal standards are concerned. But let's also take a quick look at these reports from some of the most violence-hit areas in Bengal. My colleagues Pallavi Ghosh and Kamalika Sengupta in Murshidabad and East Medinipur.
Well, despite the central forces being deployed in all these areas, this is the Domkal district in Murshidabad, which is one of the worst affected areas. In fact, right where I'm standing now is Raninagar, and this is also an area where you are seeing the Congress perhaps even most aggressive, and it's a clash between the TMC as well as the Congress party. And as the Congress gets more and more aggressive and hits back, the Trinamool Congresi equal does so. This is also one of those areas where crude bombs have been found being made very easily, and the jury is still out really that who are the ones who are, kind of involved in making them. But it's clearly a flourishing industry right over here. And as I said, this is the Murshidabad belt. And if you remember, the State Congress Chief, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, comes in from this area, and he's considered to be a strong man. And of late, the Congress has got very emboldened. And despite talk of opposition unity and a kind of an alliance, over here he's made it very clear that the Trinamool Congress is very much the opponent. And it's these people who really have to face the brunt of it. তো ভোট দিতে যাবেন তাও? তো আপনাকে বলেছে ভোট না দিতে ভয়ে দিয়ে পাইছে?
বুঝছো তোদের বাচ্চা কি ভোট দিতে যাবি? আইলে থাকবো পাহি দুয়ারি আইল কাটবো আইল তুই সালা যাবি সালা সবাই ভোট দিতে ভোটের ভয় হবো।
So what she's telling me is that these people who came here and attacked the house told her that we are going to try and ensure that you cannot even cross this area and go and cast their vote. But she's saying that she's definitely going to go and vote. All of these deployment of the central forces, which you can see just right behind me over here, there is a fear factor which has definitely dipped. But it's also a reflection on the, I would say, the harsh reality that even at the Panchayat elections, the kind of intimidation tactics are extremely strong.
In the month of May, in Khadikul in Agra in East Mednipur, a huge blast took place. This is the site where the blast took place and 11 people got dead.
About a kilometre from the blast site is a tea shop. Elections add a special flavour to the humble cup of chai. With political flags hung up, this tea shop is the hub of election chatter.
इसका इफेक्ट इस बार चुनाव में पंचायत चुनाव में पड़ेगा?
जरूर पड़ेगा। मतलब इधर तो तीनों मूल का कोई भी अभी तो झंडा धरने के लिए भी तैयार नहीं है।
Shamashri Maiti also lost her life in the blast. Her son was given a job by the government, but her family hasn't gotten any closure. The main accused in the Agra blast was Bhanu Bagh, the owner of the illegal firecracker unit. Bagh had sustained 80% burn injuries in the explosion, but fled to Orissa after the blast. He eventually succumbed to his injuries in a hospital in Cuttack. The two-storied bungalow is where he lived. With memories of the blast still fresh on the minds of the villagers of Khadikul, will it be a deciding factor when it comes to the voting in the Panchayat polls?